Okay, so I thank very much the organizer for the invitation, and I'm very happy to give a talk here. So my talk is about qualitative analysis on the PDO model of neural networks. So the aim of this talk is to make an overview of several results that was obtained in the past years around this, the models that we have studied with several collaborators. And so the general problematic is, so here we consider an homogeneous model, and we want to understand how appear complex patterns in neural networks and how they can emerge from individual neurons. So all these complex patterns can be related to several aspects, as for example, the intrinsic dynamic of the neuron, memory effect, refractory period, or, for example, delay of transmission. And to give some answer on this question, in this talk, I consider a model which is where the neurons are described via their membrane potential. So here, just a quick recall of the dynamic of a neuron with respect to its membrane voltage. When there is at the resting state, so the potential is here at minus 70, and either spontaneously or if there is a stimulus, the membrane voltage can suddenly increase to reach a certain value that we call a action potential or potential voltage, action potential. And at this time, the neuron spike, and it comes back with this dynamics to its resting potential. So to describe precisely this dynamic, we have to use several complex processes as opening and closing various channels, for example, as a Hodgkin-Huxley type models. But here we simply use what we call intermediate-fire model. That is that when the neuron discharge, instantaneously, we assume that the membrane voltage comes back to its resting value that we will call after VR. So if here I present the equation, so it's an equation which, as I said, is studied now from many years. And it was originally proposed by Brunel and Hakim. So the solution here models the potential of membrane at time t and with a membrane potential V. And the membrane potential V is assumed to belong to minus infinity VF, where VF is the value of the action potential, that is when the neuron spike, and VR here is the value of the reset potential, that is when the values that take the potential, the neurons, when they discharge. So in the equation, we see several terms. So there is a red term here, which is N of t, which describes the flux of neurons with discharge at time t. And this quantity is computed via the derivative of the function p at the boundary Vf. Okay, so, and there is a Dirichlet boundary condition. So we assume that the neurons with potential Vf is always equal to 0. Okay, so with this, in particular, we have, at least formally, mass conservation of the solution, which is normal. There is another term. So this is a term which will give the coupling between the neurons, which is here, Bx of t. So B is a constant, so parameter, which can be positive or negative or equal to 0. And x of t models the amplitude of stimulation that receives the network at time t. Okay, So here in the equation, it's the equation of Dirichlet with a diffusion due to the noise. The neuron with discharge, so come back to a value VF, and there is a drift term, which is given by the integrate and Fourier model. And j'arrive pas à faire. Okay, sorry. Sorry, when I want to switch, cannot do it. Sorry, I cannot switch my. Okay. Okay. Okay, so all the dynamic and finally is given by x of t, and there is several choice for x. So there is okay, infinitely many, but in this talk we are consider two of them. So the first is x of t equal n of t, because originally the mathematician have studied this case, and we will say that in this case, if you want to observe the qualitative dynamic, there is no many possibility. Okay, it's okay. There is no many things happens, at least numerically. So we can ask what happens if we add a delay transmission, and because biologically the transmission is not instantaneous, and there is a delay transmission. So first, if we simply consider the case, or simply consider the natural case x of t equal n of t, the solution, the equation is this one. So it's the same as before, except that I replace x by n. And here, the first question that we can ask is, before studying the qualitative property, is the problem is well posed. And this question was studied by many authors that I mentioned here. And essentially what happens, so I put a draw here. So here it's a parameter B, and I explain what happened with respect to the parameter B. So when B is negative, it's an inhibitory case. So this means that the drift given by the interaction push the neuron from to minus infinity, to the left. Okay, and in this case, the equation is always well posed. However, as soon B is strictly positive, Bn of t, the drift given by the interaction, goes through Vf, and I recall on that the flux of neuron is given by the derivative, so we can expect that the derivative becomes larger and larger. And in this case, if you assume that the initial data is enough concentrated near Vf, so I make a little draw here, then we have blow up. But if the initial data is not concentrated too much near Vf, it's okay. And for B large enough, there is always blow up. Okay, so it's for the existence and uniqueness. Now, if we are interested of the qualitative dynamic, if you make numerical simulation, we have only two types of dynamic. Either we have convergence to a stationary state, so it is given by here. So here we have an initial data to represent the solution at different time, and we see that very quickly the solution converges to a stationary state. And the second type of dynamic is blow up. So this means that the solution is not well defined globally. So here we have an initial data, and this time we see that the solution here is such that the derivative at Vf, so here Vf equal 2, gets larger and larger, and finally we do not have okay, the stem is not well posed. Okay, so we are not very happy because we wanted to, in particular, to have a periodic solution, and we do not see this. This does not mean that they do not exist. This means that numerically, to my knowledge, nobody has found a periodic solution. However, we can nevertheless try to theoretically understand what happened asymptotically. So can we describes theoretically what we observe numerically in this context. So this is what we have done. And okay, so before this, I just explain what we say, so that we have done. So before explaining, I just explain what are the stationary states. So we see that we here have an implicit formula, and essentially the result is that if B is small enough, so it's in the green part, we have a unique stationary state. There is a blue area where we know that there is at least one stationary state. Sometimes we know that there is more than one stationary state. And for B large enough, there is no stationary state. And what we have, what we can prove that we can prove theoretically that in some cases we have convergence to the stationary state. So that we can prove that the numerical observations are effectively true, in fact. However, we have to separate the inhibitory and excitatory case. And in the inhibitory case, we have a global attractor. So what does I mean by global attractor? This means that if the interconnection is small enough, so we only know what happened for low interconnection, because when the interconnections are big, it's too big, the equation is much more complicated. So when B is small enough, whatever the initial data, essentially, we have convergence to a stationary state. Okay. But in the excitatory case, the result cannot be true, because when B, whatever the value of B, which is positive, we can have a blow up. So in this case, we can only prove that we have exponential convergence to stationary state, assuming that the initial data is close enough to the stationary state, and by taking B small enough with respect to the initial data. So the difference between the initial data and the stationary state. And so the existence of periodic solution, as I said, there is not numerically observed. Okay, so if I make a draw which explains just what I told here with respect to the value B, if in the green part, so B negative and not too large, we know that we have a global attractor. If B becomes large enough, numerically we observe that we have a fast convergence to a stationary state, but we don't know how to prove it, so it's an open problem. And the difficulty is essentially due to the fact that when B is large enough, we deal with strong non-linearity, which is not the case when B is smaller. Okay, for positive and B not too large, we have convergence depending on the initial data. And if B is large enough, as we even do not have stationary state, so we cannot have convergence to stationary state. Okay, so by choosing x of t equal n of t, we are not very happy, because it depends on what we search. But if we want to search a periodic solution, we are not very happy. So we say, okay, it's not a problem. Let us integrate in the model the fact that the neurons, that there is a delay between the signal that receives the neuron and the fact that they integrate it. So we model it by the fact that here we have a parameter D, which is strictly positive. So if we do this, the question of global and existence of the solution is not anymore a problem. Okay. So it was studied also by many authors. And if we're interested of periodic solution, and okay, and say, okay, let's see what happened in the excitatory case. And numerically, it is what we observe. We observe that either we converge to a stationary state, either we observe observe oscillation. But if we look more closely to the oscillation, what we observe, so here it's the time t, and here it represents n of t, that is the total, the flux of neuron with discharge. So we see a certain periodicity here because the length between the two large spikes seems to be the same. However, we see that n of t during the time gets bigger and bigger. And so we observe numerically that we do not have convergence to a stationary state. That we do not have periodic solution, but we have some regular oscillation which become larger and larger and goes to plus infinity. So in fact, this situation is quite normal because if you expect a periodic solution in some kind, there is oscillation. This means that there is oscillation around a stationary state. However, so this simulation was made for B large enough. If we look at the stationary state of this equation or the stationary state for the equation without delay, they are the same. So this means that for B large enough, there is no stationary state. Okay. So, but the solution is globally well defined. So we know that for B large enough, we will never have convergence to stationary states simply because the stationary state do not exist. And this means also that we cannot have oscillation between this stationary state which do not exist. So it is not a proof, but it is a way to intuitively explain here what happened. So okay, so in the excitatory case, we still do not have periodic solution. We have this kind of pattern when the activity of the neuron gets bigger and bigger, and an infinity goes to plus infinity. And okay, we say let us see what happened in the inhibitory case. So I recall that without delay, we have no periodic solution, a priori, at least numerically, and we have even observed that it converges very fast to a stationary state. However, if we add some delay, we observe interesting patterns. So I just put here. Do you see the? You see the? No, okay. I have to switch. Okay. Voilà. Okay, so here it's a simulation of the solution. For B equal, I don't remember exactly, maybe minus 50. Okay, so B negative and B large. And let us see what we observe. Okay, so here, what you observe, at least visually, it seems very simple. We observe a function. So here, what is represented is the solution P of TV. So if we look this, what we observe is simply something which looks like a Gaussian, which goes from the left to the right. And if we look attentively, I don't know if you see this, it goes faster from the left than from the right. I don't know if it is clear. The first, okay, just put it. For the first, it is clear, but after it's less clear. Okay. Okay, so we have observed this numerically, and we say, okay, it seems to be simply a Gaussian with a wave which tells us that we go from the left to the right. Maybe there is a possibility to describe it describe it theoretically, because it seems quite simple, at least. Alors pourquoi je ne vois pas? Ah voilà. At least visually. Okay. So to study this, to try to tackle this theoretically, to do not have too many notation, we have chosen the potential action potential equal to 0 and the DLD equal to 1. Okay. So the problem here is that we still have a quite complex PDE, and we have tried to understand what happened for B very, very small, so B very, very negative. And to this, we have said, okay, numerically, we observe that the dynamic is governed by a Gaussian with a speed wave, which may depend on time. Okay, let us write the solution as the wave with a remainder time. Okay, where phi is like this, and C of t is the speed, the velocity, which go from the left to the right. And so what we have proved, so this part is not very difficult, we have proved that the remainder time is well controlled by the flux of neuron with discharge. So as we expect that for B, very, very small, n goes to 0, okay, the remainder term is small. So now if you want to control the dynamic of P, we have to determine what is C. The problem is that C, if we look at the equation of C, we do not have a closed equation. And we want to have a closed equation. And to this, what we have done, so this is this part which is heuristic. We have said, okay, assume that R goes very fast to 0 when B goes to -infinity. If it is the case, then approximatively C of t will satisfy this closed equation. So this means that we have reduced our PDE, at least asymptotically, to a delay equation of C. Okay. And so the question which remains is there periodic solution of this equation? So is there periodic solution? And as we look at the asymptotic, do we have, when B goes to -infinity, for example, C, which goes to a constant, which will be not good, because we want to obtain a periodic solution. If the limit when B goes to -infinity goes to a constant, this will mean that when B goes to -infinity, at the limit, we do not have periodic solution. So to study this equation, and we have make a general theorem to prove a periodic solution. And more precisely, we have constructed an explicit asymptotic profile of this solution when B goes to +infinity to precisely describe the dynamic asymptotically. And so I did not, I did not explain how we did it, but essentially, what we have observed that the solution was projected very fast from the left at a distance of the size B power alpha, and come back on an exponential speed, but much slower than on the left part, on a time period like ln minus B. So this means that the period of the solution is like ln minus B. And so, okay, so to finish, I just put a numerical simulation of the profile C of t, which gives the dynamics. So we see what happened. So here it is a case where we come back to the right, and we rapidly goes back to the left and come back again and again. And we see, so it is the different value of B. So B equal -50 to B equal -5,000. Okay, so as a conclusion, we have obtained some theoretical results which give which well describe, in fact, the numerical simulation that we have observed. but at the cost of a conjecture that this remainder term goes very fast to 0, and this question we do not know if it is true or not. We hoped that it is true. Numerically, it seems. Okay, so I thank you. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Delphine, for a very nice talk. I think to keep the time, we have to skip questions, but feel free to ask questions in the chat, and I guess Delphine can answer them, right? Yes. So then we go on to our next speaker, which is Xuan Du from Peking University. Are you here, Xuan?
I need to share the screen.
Yes, you do.
So maybe that could stop sharing.
Yes.
Thanks.